I call this Midnight on the Bayou. Alright, so today we're going to be making black paint. And do that, I'm going to start off with some vegetable shortening. Got some tea candles from the Dollar Tree. Got a candle holder from the Dollar Tree. And I have another candle holder from the Dollar Tree. Okay, first thing we're going to do is take this out. Going to save that. Alright, now we'll fill this with some shortening. Now we'll just light this up. There we go. Place this over the top. Like that. There we are. Let this sit and sit up. Previous experiment I failed. I think the reason why I failed is because the wick. So I've got some burlap ribbon here, and we're going to make a wick out of that. Now if I fold this over and then fold it over again and cut that, that gives me 4 wicks to burn. Don't forget to cut this loop as well. I got 4 wicks. Do like that. Now we're going to put this in here and then fill around the wick. Now we put that right there. I had to modify this with 2 bricks because the air was not enough for the flame, but now it's getting nice and sooty in there. Alright, so this is our container. It's got the lamp black, also known as Mars black. And what I have here is a cheapo acid brush, and you can use basically any stiff bristle brush. I also have a coffee filter. So I'm just getting the black. You don't want to be anywhere where there's any wind. Me talking is not good. But I'm trying to get all this off of the outside first. And then this inside is just coated with it. You can see that just coming right out there. Put that to the side. This right here is enough for maybe 1 painting if I'm lucky. So what we're going to do is put this into an empty vitamin bottle just so I can store it. And then with that in there, if there's any extra, we'll just tap that out. Put that up for now. Alright, so what we have here is a turkey feather. And I actually bought this from a YouTuber, and so she has a channel where she writes down Bible verses. I'll put a link to her channel here, but she also sells feathers online, and I bought some from her. Very good seller. This right here is thick body acrylic. So it is the titanium white, and so what we're going to do is put this on the feather and get a good background. Okay, so like that. definitely check her channel out. She does something new, or something I've never really heard of, when she's writing Bible verses down. That's something I never heard of. I mean, other than the monks when they used to have to copy the Bibles, other than that, I've never heard of anybody ever doing that. So I think that's really neat. And she tells you what type of ink to use and things of that nature. She has a pretty good following too. It's so weird when I do individual demonstrations like at art shows and things of that nature where I'm in person showing how I'm doing my artwork. I always never lay the feather on the table. I hold it in my hands, and I'm trying to remember to hold it in my hands for the camera because it looks better on camera. So I've had to change up my feather painting a bit just for the sole purposes of the camera. And all this is for is to get a good base coat of white. As I've said it many times before, and I'll continue to say it, paints are made to have white behind them. That is the intent of the paint company. They anticipate you having white. Now, some painters will do black backgrounds, and those do well. But it does well because black is opposite of white, and so you get some of the same effects. And so what we're doing here is just making sure we got a good amount of white background to do what we need it to do. Alrighty, so one of the things I'm going to do is take this right here. It is basically a matte fluid medium. It is got acrylic in it. I'll add some of that in here. Now we're going to make paint. We're going to make probably the oldest paint known to art. By that I mean we're going to take this Mars Black. We're going to get this going good. Alright, this is pretty good black here. Now I'm going to show you a very easy green to make. So this right here is yellow medium. Alright, this number PA30120. That is actually the pigment color. So a lot of acrylics now have the number on there, and that's how you know the color. So different companies may call it something else, but if you get that number, it should be the same color. We'll put a little dollop there. That we'll see how that goes from there. See how it turns green? That is probably the oldest green. If you saw green in a Michelangelo or Da Vinci or any of the old historical painters, it was a yellow of some sort mixed with this black. Add a little bit more because I want a good yellow. You've got to mix your paints well. Okay, now that's almost what they call olive drab, sorta. Now, I'm going to take just a little bit of this thick body white, titanium white. Not much, just a little bit. And the whole reason for this is I need to lighten this up because when it dries, it'll be a lot darker. And I want to lighten this up. And I'm going to add a little bit more yellow. Problem with yellow is it takes more pigment of yellow than any other color to actually get the color you're trying to get to. This is the reason why most people do not make their own greens. But back in the day, this is what you had to do. And I thought, well, this would be a very good color to showcase that. So if you're a history nerd like I am, this is something interesting. If not, hopefully it's entertaining and you learned something today. I'll add a little bit more white. Alright, this right here is lemon yellow. It is PA 30100. It's a lighter color than the yellow medium. I'm hoping that will help lighten it up a little bit more. Get it to where I'm wanting it. So never did add blue, not the first bit of blue. We just added black and yellow and got green. A little bit of white to lighten it up a little bit, otherwise it would have been a very dark green. But it's a beautiful green. So all you guys that like to do camo and everything, this would be a little lighter than your typical olive drab, but you can get it to whatever color you wanted. I'll add just a little bit more lemon yellow. And then we're going to call that good. Yeah. I think I'm going to add a little bit more white. Just to lighten it up a little bit more. Now, take my feather, Right. Nice green feather. What we have here is some medium. I'll put a few drops of this here. Maybe a half tablespoon. So we're going to need more than what you think. This right here is from a brand called Matio or Matio, M-A-T-I-O, and it is Silence Forest. It's a mica pigments, chrome mica in chameleon shift. And we're just going to try to not get sprinkles everywhere with this stuff. Just get a good amount. I think that's going to be enough. Don't too much. Now take a flat brush, mix this all up real good. That's critical. Okay. Now we're going to do multiple layers on our feather here. spot, don't worry about it. Just try and make it as clear a coat as is possible, because we're going to put multiple coats on here. Alright, we'll let it dry and come back in a minute. Time to do another layer. It's time to go this way. Alright, we'll come back and get another coat. Yay, it's time for another color, or another layer of this. Can you hear the sound of facetiousness in my voice? Yeah. Trying to get an effect. I'm experimenting with something. I don't know if this is going to work or not. I hope it does. Looks cool right now, but how it's going to look in the finished product under different lights, that's all variables. The idea is that the more individual layers you can put on, the better it's going to be. So however much you make of this stuff, that's how many layers put on. There's no hard and fast rule. I would say go with less of your mica than what you think you need, and just make up for it in layers rather than try and do one big layer. I've experimented more than I care to think about with this stuff, and have yet to find a process to apply to feathers that I like. I've tried mixing it with pigments, I've tried mixing it with various glazes, I've tried epoxy, you name it, and everyone had its own unique set of challenges, and not a lot of them had benefits. I've been very upset with the quality that I'm getting from these color shift mica pigments for this application. Other applications they've always done well, but in this application not. Alright, add more to this now. And I guess the reason why I'm having an issue with this specific painting is that it's requiring a lot of work. And I go for effortless painting. If it requires a lot of effort, I generally don't want to do it. I mean, this is supposed to be fun, enjoyable, relaxing, therapeutic, and this is like painting a house, which I absolutely cannot stand. Everybody's like, oh, he's a painter, let's make him paint a house. No, there is a big difference between a guy who paints on feathers and a guy who paints houses. I am not the guy that paints houses. I just don't care for it. Mainly because it's a lot of this stuff. And you just try to make sure it goes where you want it to go and just slather it on. It's a lot of work. and you do it in even layers and you come back, and I just don't care for that. It's fussy and fiddly, and I don't like fussy and fiddly, said the guy that paints on feathers with very small brushes. Oh. If you can't be a little contrarian, why even bother? Now, to speed up the process, off camera I do have a hair dryer. It has a cold setting. You don't want to use hot setting, but I am using a cold setting for this. This will be the second to the last, so we're going to be right back for another layer. This is one we was looking for, the last application of this stuff. And it's going to be very thin. And I'm going to let all this dry very well. I'm going to let it air dry. Not even going to use a hair dryer because you can get uneven drying from that. There'll be pockets underneath the paint that ain't dried. I want this dry under the air conditioner just as slow as possible. This is actually one of those things that's probably a pretty good project to have a few of them going, which I would normally do, but because I'm doing YouTube now, it's hard getting everything set up for more than one. But if you could do 5, 6, 7, 8, that would make it a lot easier. Then you had multiple pieces going at multiple times. That's the way I normally like to do this kind of stuff. This is the way I like to approach it. But like I said, for YouTube filming, that doesn't work. I'm going to clean this brush before it hardens. Everything's already starting to dry, and it'll be probably, I don't know, 5, 6 hours for me, but just a few seconds for you. Alright, so we're going to start mixing some more colors up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some phthalo blue. And this is PA 30330. So phthalo blue, the reason why we're going to be mixing up, because I want to make Payne's gray. And phthalo can be a very clear color depending upon what company you use, or transparent. For making Payne's gray, normally you use ultramarine, which is that color is supposed to be based off of lapis lazuli, but I want something a little darker, so I'm using a different recipe for Payne's gray. Now I'm going to add in a little bit, not much, just a little bit of the medium here. And from there, let's go ahead and add our Mars Black. There we go. I'll go back to this brush here and mix these two together well with that. Payne's gray has a blue color to it, and the reason why is, like I said, they normally use ultramarine or some other variant. This right here we're using phthalo, but that's what makes Payne's gray so unique, is that it does have a blue element to it. Alright. I'll add just a little bit more of the liquid here. Only because it needs to be thinned out a little bit. I don't want to use water. Not for here. Oh yeah. See here. I'll add just a little bit more blue, not much. Not much. Don't need much. But yeah, they used to take lapis lazuli, which is, I believe it's semi-precious stone is what it is, and they would grind it up. And the ground lapis lazuli pulverized, even though it was what I believe to be semi-precious, maybe precious, but I think it's semi-precious, that it would cost more than gold for the same weight for once it was pulverized. And then you go through a whole kneading process with water, and then that made a pigment that was usable for paints. Alright, now we got this going. I'll take this right here, and I want to go right here and start a horizon. Just flicking up. Flicking up. Then we come back here and flick down. Not near as much down here. Right. And that will allow that to show through that little bit of blue, give it a little bit different color. Alright, so one of the things I'm going to do now is I am going to thin down the birds, or I'm doing birds, so I'm thinning down with water. And the reason why is I want the blue to be seen a little bit better. And give me a little bit more water here. Ripples going here. Fairly simple, nothing major. Before I go too far with this though, I do want to get a quarter and I want to draw a half crescent. Got some white here I'm using. Got that mixed in here using this. And I've got a little bit of that that same mica dust on here. This is where I was mixing the mica dust, so if some gets in here, I'm not that concerned about it. And just what I did is I mixed a little bit of the white and the Payne's gray with that to kind of give it that moon-like alright. What I'm going to do, I'm going to do some various and make a water edge right there. Nothing big. Now let's go ahead and I'm going to use this brush here. I'm going to get a little bit of the black, not much. A little bit of our liquid here. That will vary. Now what we'll do is do some lines up here. Do one right there. Let's see what we got here. I'm going to turn this upside down. Now, take this same liner brush back in the black, do now we'll take the Payne's gray and a little bit of the white. Start going over this. So I'm going to get a little bit more white, not much, very little. I'll go in here. I'm going to just kind of like that. Now, I'm going to use this brush here. It's kind of a unique little brush. I like it. Make sure it's nice and loosey-goosey. Get a little bit of water, not much, and loosen this down a little bit. And now, using that same brush to get some Payne's gray going on here with a little bit of water and some white. And that I can just kind of add there. Alright. It's a fun little painting, I think. I like it. The only thing left to do would be to sign my name. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this dry, and then I'm going to sign my name down here, and I'm going to use a Payne's gray with white just so that it kind of blends in. But I thought this kind of neat, and if you turn it at an angle, you might be able to see a little shimmer. So I thought this would be just a very neat little thing. Oh, there is some things I did want to do. Why don't we go ahead and do those right now? I want some bigger birds. So let's see here. There we go. I think that right there does a pretty good job, I think. Alright, I just wanted a few more birds in there. I like a lot of birds, that's me. But once this dries, I'll sign my name and we'll do a final review of the painting. Alright guys, so here it is, midnight on the Bayou. You can see where I signed my name. I also did a top coat of clear glaze over this. So I'm going to use this right here. Try to get some of that. So you can see I'm trying to get some of that sheen from the mica. The camera doesn't do it justice. But let me know what you think. I really do appreciate y'all watching. Please like, share, subscribe as we reach towards getting monetized, hopefully within the next month. Till then, I'll see you again. Bye.